Hi, I'm Joe Berlingero, and I'm here with the band Whitehouses, which is comprised of...
I'm Charlie Thurman, and I sing and play the guitar.
I'm Sean Marr, I play keys.
I'm Joe Pest, I play the drums.
Now, I met Charlie at a bar, which is how you meet people sometimes. And we've talked at different points about incorporating 80s pop and soundscapes and making a pop for people like you that you would want to listen to.
Yeah.
Is it all correct?
It's all correct. I mean, I think it's really interesting that we're making music that we would want to listen to, but I mean, for me at least, I mean, it's one of the most different things that I've ever attempted to do. Sean and I found we grew up, playing music together. We wound up in the same neighborhood, in houses about 5 minutes from each other. And we decided that we wanted to try and do something original and do something new. And at first we were talking about doing something that was a lot like the band, kind of like a modern day, kind of like the band kind of thing.
Yeah, like roots kind of Americana.
Right, roots kind of Americana. But the more we started talking about what we were listening to, we also had this like undercurrent, like we both kind of had discovered, digital music over the last couple of years. And, I was very much into Daft Punk and M83, and, so was he. And so we decided that after a couple of like tests that we were going to try to do something more along those veins. And we found that the stuff that we were producing kind of brought all of our influences to bear and had a very kind of like a unique flavor to it. So we really felt like we had something.
Sean, you have a lot of different background for piano and keyboard. When did you start doing like the synth kind of soundscape? That I feel like you guys have a soundscape that comes a lot from your keyboard playing.
Yeah, I think, well, growing up, I listened to a lot of progressive rock, so you hear that just like even from the 70s before they had like all the backing tracks or like sequencing of everything. And I think it also just comes out of like when you're a keyboard player, and nowadays when you have your laptop and you have software and you just start layering sound upon sound. And you're sitting there listening to the same 8 bars over and over, and you're like, oh, you know what, there's a little bit of frequency left. Let me throw another sound in there and another loop. And I think what Whitehouses became wasn't like our initial thought process. It wasn't like we're going to create this type of music. It just evolved that way as we threw things back and forth from each other.
I've always been a really big Depeche Mode fan, and that, it's like kind of the 90s new wave thing, and there's a lot of Depeche Mode in the music. So one of the cool, I don't know, for some reason I've always liked his lyrics, safe as houses, off of music for the masses.
Okay.
And so we were trying to name the band, and I thought, safe as houses is kind of a cool phrase. And then, I met up with Sean, and I'm like, we should do something houses. And Sean said, and I think he said we should do white something, and so that's how it, So we put it together, and it just sort of stuck. And what happened was after that, I started writing, lyrics to all of this music, and there were a lot of reoccurring themes, and one of the more major ones was this idea of the American dream. Like I write a lot about the dissolution of the American dream in the modern age. So Whitehouses to me kind of feels like a shortening of the phrase house with a white picket fence. So a lot of the lyrical content has to do with how everybody wants their, white house, and they want, their house with a white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and stuff like that. But because of the way that things are going, that dream is becoming less and less attainable. And that's an overarching theme creatively for me in the lyrics.
I think it was also us, like Charlie said, we wound up moving to houses like around the block from each other.
Yeah.
In Levittown, which is the first suburb of America. So we lived in an area where that was where everyone's new middle-class dream was.
The song Whitehouses is actually kind of a story about a superhero that decides to go into retirement, into his white house, which is, I always envision as being a house in Levittown. I'm for the white houses, a hook to hang my cape. And there's actually the breakdown in that is about a natural disaster, and he just sort of stands there not doing anything about it.
Mowing his lawn.
Exactly. Exactly.
For the wine.
So like Joe, a drummer who, you know, is a good drummer, can work anywhere. What attracted you to the sound?
I've always been attracted to teamwork, you know, and there's certain times I get hired for work and it's like, you know, it's a job I'm supposed to play what's supposed to be played, and that's that, you know. But the truth is, like with this project, there was already programmed drum parts that were not done by another drummer, not by a human being, they were programmed. So the very notion of me jumping into a project like this already showed that there was a certain openness with the band to want to evolve. And so I was already attracted to be like, okay, well maybe like there's something I can do with this. Maybe this is something that can challenge me and help me grow, and maybe I could have something to offer them as well. And I feel like even through our first show, I'm getting more and more, I gain more and more understanding of where Charlie's coming from, where Sean's coming from, and it makes it even more exciting to go along on the journey with them.
Adding the real drum just now adds more air and openness, so then we can like breathe a little more, and we can lean on Joe now, and he becomes like the big foundation for us.
I think you had told me, you know, you had some kind of a solid idea, a coherent idea, and then you were like, oh, not that. This is becoming something different.
Well, Eyes Go Wide, yeah. Oh, well, actually, yeah, that song, that started out as, I did that, an acoustic version of that entirely, with the chord changes and everything, and then we kind of endeavored to change that into an electronic song. So we did an arpeggiated bass underneath it, and as we started to add stuff on top of it and change the feel and then introduce a bass line and then kind of change the vocals, it kind of became something different stylistically. It kind of became this like electronic, you know, rock kind of mashup that sounded vaguely new wave-esque because of the way my voice naturally sounds. And that kind of became a template for everything that we did later on. And it is sort of like the whole style of the band was kind of born out of that, and we sort of kind of followed that while we were creating like all the rest of the songs.
I put on my best clothes to see about you, thinking of me as your home.
Like at our last show, there was this one moment. My favorite moment from the show. We have this song called "Pie in the Sky" that I mentioned before, but it's a deceptively complicated song. Like Joe will tell you, it's got all sorts of wacky time signatures. When you listen to it, it almost feels like a straight 4/4 time, but it's got like, you know, like a measure of like 7/9.
Well, you should hear the click going on. Yeah, it was like click, 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 click,
click, click, click, and it's really difficult to follow. And Joe, you know, from the first, you know, session, he shows up with his charts and everything like that, and he got it, but it was still like a little bit tough for us to like maneuver our way through this one song. So we were up on stage, and you know, one question that we all had in the back of our mind is like, we have these tracks being played to a click, and they're just rigid, you know, they're always going to be the same. So what happens if we get lost? You know what I mean? So that song happened, and nobody in the audience picked up on it, but we almost completely like fell out of it. But at that moment, all three of us did exactly what a band should do, which was we all just sort of looked around, we made eye contact, and then like without even speaking, we all compensated and fell right back into the beat. And I think it was at that moment I was like, okay, you know what, we're a real band.
In the end, the feeling is that we have each other's back.
I think that we've got something really special here, and I think that we got something different and cool.
Keep on